Hi, friends. Welcome to Beautifully Bookish Bethany and the first of the anticipated reads videos that you're going to be getting from me. It's going to be a mix of live streams and pre-recorded edited videos. Um, this is always fun to do. And in today's video, we're talking about anticipated 2024 releases in science fiction and fantasy. This is across a range of age categories and types of sci-fi fantasy. I will also be coming at some point with one for romance, one on that's like horror mystery thriller, and one that's miscellaneous. I mean, like things that just didn't fit into these categories. So we have 42 books to talk about today, which is a lot. I have slides for you, so that should be fun. And hopefully this will kind of give you an idea of what are some of the things coming out in 2024, things that you may be interested in or want to have on your radar. Heads up that when I do these, it is not a TBR that I'm setting for myself. This is just sort of these are the things coming out that are on my radar that I'm interested in. I probably will pick up a good number of them. Some of them it may depend on what the reviews are, if I can get to them. I'm not committing to read them all, but I want you to know they're coming out because some of them may be interesting to you. All right. Good evening. Is it evening for you? Good afternoon here. Hi, welcome. Hello. Hi, Isabella. Hi, Valerie. Hey, Lisa. Hi. Yes, alive. Um, okay. So let me pull up my slides and we're going to go through all 42, 42 of these books. There's a lot. There's always so much. It's wild. Okay. So we're going to go in chronological order by date. Do note that there are a few that have unknown dates, and also these are subject to change. This is the supposed dates as of this video, but sometimes things get changed or pushed back. So it may not all be exactly this. Hi, hello. All right, so first we have a couple that are supposed to be coming sometime in 2024, but we do not have confirmed dates for them yet. And those are Alecto the Ninth by Tamsyn Muir, the final book in the series, the Locked Tomb series, which I am a huge fan of. So whenever that comes out, I will be reading it. We're theoretically getting it sometime in 2024, but we don't have any confirmation on that yet. We are also theoretically, although I don't know if it's going to get pushed back, we're supposed to be getting Witchlight by Susan Dennard, which is the finale to another series that I love, the Witchland series. So once we have confirmation, I actually really want to go back and do a read along of all of the books, reread everything before Witchlight comes out. So stay tuned. I'm kind of waiting to see when we get details on that, but we don't even have a cover yet. So I'm not sure. Like there's supposedly a date in January for Kindle, like that you can pre-order the Kindle, but I don't think it's coming out in January. Like it's definitely not. So we don't know the date on that yet. But let's move on to books that we do have coming out in January. All right, so first up, on January 9th, we've got 3 books releasing. The Atlas Complex by Olivia Blake. This is another series finisher, so we're getting a lot of those this year, which is exciting. This is the finale to the Atlas 6 series, which I've really been enjoying. Kind of dark academia, fantasy. It's fun. And so, we're getting the final book in that series coming in January. Hello, good morning. Yes, the Witchland series is the one that starts with Truth Witch. That is correct. Also coming out January 9th is The Jinn Waits 100 Years by Shubnum Khan. This is being pitched as Rebecca and the House of Spirits meets Fatima Farheen Mirza, who's not somebody I've read from, but that's what they're pitching it as, in this sweeping, gorgeously atmospheric novel about a ruined mansion by the sea, the jinn that haunts it, and a curious girl who unearths the tragedy that happened there 100 years previous. I love this cover. It's beautiful. I wouldn't have assumed that it was fantasy based on the cover. It's giving me historical fiction vibes, but apparently it is kind of a gothic fantasy, which sounds great. Oh, thanks, Emily. I'm glad you like it. Yes, Witchlight will be published. I just think it's going to get pushed back. But yeah, the next Luminaries book is also coming out. So I just don't know the dates on those, but I do know it is coming. She's working on stuff. And then lastly, on the 9th, we also have Misladen Parts Half Known by Seanan McGuire. This is the next novella in the Wayward Children series, which I really love. It's like portal fantasy. I love this whole series. I think they're great. And this one has a world with dinosaurs, so that should be fun. Looking forward to that. The other two books coming out in January are coming out January 30th. We have The City of Stardust by Georgia Summers, which, you know what, I forgot to post in my notes. Of course I did. Okay, let me grab this. Most of these I typed up a description, but this one I apparently forgot to do. But it sounded really interesting because it's been comped to a book that I really loved, The Starless Sea. So it's like power hungry scholars, kind of dark academia, seductive magical underworld storytelling stuff, which sounds really cool. And I think this one is a debut, so it's one I'm excited to try. And I have an advanced copy of this I picked up at New York Comic Con, so I do plan to try this one out. And then, of course, we have House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas, which is the next book in the Crescent City series, which I am also going to read, even though I didn't love book two. I'm still going to keep reading them, so we'll see how that goes. Yes, City of Stardust does sound interesting. And I can tell you for a video project, I've read like the first few chapters of it, and they're very good. So I have high hopes for this one. Yeah, I know. Books compared to Aaron Morgan's same, same. You should check it out. All right, moving on, let's talk about February. First, on the 6th, we have The Cursed Rose by Leslie Vedder. This is the final book in the Bone Spindle trilogy, I think, although now it's saying series, so maybe there will be more, but originally it was supposed to be a trilogy. I guess we'll see. I've been really enjoying them. They are YA. It's like, I don't know, it's like a YA Indiana Jones meets a gender flipped Sleeping Beauty, but queer, and it's got friendship, and I really like it. It is not just fantasy. I just don't have as many science fiction books. So there is sci-fi mixed in here. It's going to be heavier on the fantasy just because most of that's a lot of what's on my radar. But like the imposition of unnecessary obstacles is sci-fi. There is some, but it's not going to be as heavy on that. We all know. Okay, this is your most anticipated of the year. Yeah. Yes, I'm actually reading this right now, the new Malka Older, The Imposition of Unnecessary Obstacles. This is a novella, or I guess a short novel. It's like around 200 pages. So far, I'm enjoying it. I'm like halfway through it right now. But it is the second in a series that's sort of like a Holmesian mystery, but sapphic, set on a colony on Jupiter. So it's like sci-fi mystery with a low-key romantic subplot. And I've been enjoying them. So that one is coming out on February 13th. Also on February 13th, we have The Foxwife from Yang Sa Chu. And this is her first one that feels more like fantasy. She writes these really interesting genre bendy books that are a little more literary and historical, but I love them. And this one I'm excited to read. I actually have um, an audio galley of this that I'm going to be listening to soon. So, historical fiction plus mythology brilliantly explores a world of mortals and spirits, humans and beasts, and their dazzling intersection. It says it's a stunning novel about a winter full of mysterious deaths, a mother seeking revenge, and old folk tales that may very well be true. I'm excited to read this. I think her writing is gorgeous. Okay. Then we have a middle grade that I'm excited to read. It looks really cute. This is The Princess Protection Program by Alex London. This weaves together several beloved fairy tales in a fast-paced, funny, and slyly subversive adventure about finding your place in the world and taking control of your own story. The daring escapes, sinister monsters, familiar friends, and surprise twists will keep even reluctant readers glued to the pages. So I'm excited to check this out. I've really enjoyed some other things I've read from Alex London. I don't feel like he's as well known. But he writes a lot of he's done quite a bit of like queer YA science fiction and fantasy, and this is, I don't know if it's his first middle grade book, maybe second, but the premise sounds interesting. Then on the 15th of February, we have An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. I also have a copy of this and I'm very excited about it. It's queer, dark academia with vampires, like everything. I'm like, yes, this is speaking to me. So I'm very excited to try this one. And I did enjoy the first book from S.T. Gibson that we got. So yeah, that should be cool. All right. Then we have A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faisal. This is the start of a new YA fantasy duology about an orphan girl and her crew who get tangled in a heist with vampires. They're saying it's perfect for fans of Lee Bardugo's Six of Crows. So, very interested to see. This is one where I'm like so curious to see what the reviews are saying and see what people think about it. Hello. Hey, Brianna. Yeah, no, it's in chronological order, so it's sort of like if I have when I have some sci-fi books, there are some months where there's more of them, but I decided to just mix them up. Yes, I'm also very excited about An Education in Malice. It looks so good. All right, this is the last one for February. Fathom Folk by Eliza Chan. Beautiful cover. It says it's a modern, myth inflected story of revolution and magic set against the glittering, semi submerged city of Tiankawi, perfect for fans of Jade City and the Bone Shard Daughter. So, interested to read this one. Moving on, let's see what we've got in March. I think March I do have a couple of sci fi books. It is so pretty. Yeah, there's some really gorgeous covers in this, honestly. All right. Okay, so March 5th, we have The Truth of the Aleke by Moses Ose Utomi. This is the second novella in a companion novella series that are kind of, they feel like myth and fable and are African inspired. I liked the first one and I'm interested to read the second one. Then on also on the 5th, we have Those Beyond the Wall by Micaiah Johnson. So this is the sequel to The Space Between Worlds, which was a really impressive debut. I don't love this cover, if I'm being honest. I'm not sure what's going on with this cover, but interested to see where this goes. What does it say about it? Faced with a coming apocalypse, a woman must reckon with her past to solve a series of sudden and inexplicable deaths in this searing sci-fi thriller. Sounds very interesting. And then finally, also on the 5th, we have The Poisons We Drink by Bethany Baptiste. This is more of a like a witchy YA fantasy. In a country divided between humans and witchers, Venus Stoneheart hustles as a brewer making illegal love potions to support her family. Sounds interesting. I'm gonna try that out. All right. Next up, this is another sci-fi one. On the 18th, we have The Mars House by Natasha Pulley, a queer sci-fi novel about an Earth refugee and a xenophobic Mars politician who fake marry to save their reputations and their planet. Like, I mean, it sounds really interesting. I'll be honest, she wrote Watchmaker of Filigree Street, which I DNF'd. I didn't get on super well with that, but the premise of this sounds so interesting. And also, this is sci-fi, and that was sort of historical fantasy. So I'm curious. If I see good reviews, this is one I'd be interested in picking up. Yes, pink. Then we are getting Song of the Huntress by Lucy Holland. She wrote Sister Song, which I loved. It's so good. And this is a new novel from her. It's recasting the folklore behind the Wild Hunt into a dark feminist fantasy set amidst the legends and beauty of ancient Britain. Um, a warrior, a queen, an undying curse. I think her writing is gorgeous, and I'm interested to read something else from her. And then finally, we have one that is like a major genre blend, so but I put it here. The Emperor and the Endless Palace by Justinian Huang. This is a queer historical fantasy romance thriller. Like it's a genre mash. But I'm interested. It's getting published from a romance imprint, but it's got like historical fantasy and mystery thriller elements, like court politics, I think. So I'm curious to see about that one. Looks interesting. All right, we're going to move on to April. Quite a bit in April. All right. Okay, first on April 9th, we have The Familiar by Lee Bardugo. I'm really interested in this. I feel like this is such a striking cover. This is another adult novel we're getting from her. It's a historical fantasy set during the Spanish Golden Age that is based on her own family's history of being Jewish Europeans. I'm very interested in this. I know she did a lot of research and it's something a little different from her for her. So curious to try this one. Also, April 9th, we're getting A Sweet Sting of Salt by Rosie Sutherland. This one I have an arc of on NetGalley, and it sounds really good. Once a young woman uncovers a dark secret about her neighbor and his mysterious new wife, she'll have to fight to keep herself and the woman she loves safe in the stunning queer reimagining of the classic folktale, The Selkie Wife. I've heard some good things. I'm interested. And then we have another uh, YA novel. Where is my thing? Oh yeah. On April 16th. I'm probably gonna say this wrong, so correct me, but Shina Lende, possibly. That may not be the correct pronunciation of this, by Darcy Little Badger. This is a prequel to Alatsoe. So if you read Alatsoe, which is fantastic, really, really good, like magical realism mythology, but contemporary, that's like early YA, young YA, I would say, based on indigenous mythology. This is following the grandmother, Alatsoe's grandmother. So interested in that. Yes, I think the prequel should be good. All right. Yes, Alatsoe is fantasy. It is. It's contemporary fantasy, but it is fantasy. All right. Then on the 23rd, oh no, the 16th, we have To Gaze Upon Wicked Gods by Molly X. Chang. This cover is gorgeous. And I want to say, I don't know, it's saying fantasy, but I want to say this has some sci fi elements to it as well, but I might be thinking of something else. It says in this magical epic fantasy, a young woman cursed with the power of death must decide if saving her family is worth betraying her country. You know what is a sci fantasy blend is actually a book that is not on this list because of what like the author behavior stuff that blew up that people have probably heard about. Um, on the 23rd, we have The Dead Cattail Assassins by P. Djeli Clark. Love this cover. It's like very striking. It says, the dead cattail assassins are not cats, nor do they have tails, but they are most assuredly dead. This is a brand new world and a fantastical city full of gods and assassins. It's a novella or a short novel from P. Djeli Clark, who just always writes fantastic stuff. And then on the 23rd, we're getting Blood Justice by Terry J. Benton Walker. This is the sequel to Blood Debts, which I really liked, and I feel like it underperformed in terms of getting attention. It's really interesting. It's like a queer contemporary urban fantasy that has lots of melodrama. This is like CW show vibes, but with characters of color and queer characters. Like really, really fun and a little over the top. I feel like a lot of people would enjoy it, and it just didn't get picked up that much. But we're getting the sequel, and I would love to see this make the rounds a little more. Yeah, yeah. Dead Cattail Assassin sounds interesting. Okay, Blood Debts is still in your TBR. Well, book two is coming in April, so you have time. You have a few months. All right, lastly for April, on the 23rd, we have The Wings Upon Her Back by Samantha Mills. This is from a small press. A loyal warrior in a crisis of faith must fight to regain her place and begin her life again while questioning the events of her past. This gripping science fantasy novel from a debut author who has won awards for her short stories, is a complex, action packed exploration of the costs of zealous faith, brutal war, and unquestioning loyalty. Really interested in this. I do have an early copy of it. I plan to read. I'm intrigued. And then finally, this I have pre ordered is Heavenly Tyrant by Shiran J. Zhao. This is the sequel to Iron Widow. It is queer sci-fi fantasy blend that is excellent. I love it. I love the unlikable characters. It's got polyamory. It's got like big mecha magical robots and like it's a lot of fun. So this I think is just a duology, so that'll finish it out. All right. I know we've all been waiting patiently for Heavenly Tyrant. We thought we were getting it in the fall, but it got moved, which is I respect. It's fine. All right. In May, we don't have a lot. We just have two books. On the 7th is The Brides of High Hill by Nevo. This is the next novella in the Singing Hills cycle, which I love. I will read anything Nevo writes. This one is a gothic mystery involving a crumbling estate, a mysterious bride, and an extremely murderous teapot, which sounds delightful. So, definitely going to be picking this one up. And then on the 14th, we're getting Blood and Fury by Tessa Gratton and Justina Ireland. This is the second book in a upper YA fantasy duology. I read the first one and I really enjoyed it. Chaos and Flame was the first one. Blood Magic, Ancient Fury, prepare for the gripping conclusion to the Chaos and Flame saga, the fast-paced, action-filled fantasy that reads like a mix of Game of Thrones and The Last Airbender. I memean, I think that's fair. It does kind of read like that. I liked the first one and I'm excited. Yay! Cannot wait for Blood and Fury. Got an arc, y'all. Yes, I'm excited to see the cover reveal too, and I really liked the first one, so I'm excited to check out book two. You gotta read them. They're quick. They're really short. The Singing Hills cycle is great because they're little novellas. And you know what? If you want a time to do it, I am bringing back Tor.comathon in March, so you could just like read, read the whole series in March if you wanted to. They would fit. Okay, June, we've got a few things coming. Let me just like scroll down on my notes before we get going here. All right. First, on the 4th of June, we're getting Moonstorm by Yoon Ha Lee. This is his first YA sci-fi novel, which is interesting. I'm very interested to read this. In a society where conformity is valued above all else, a teen girl training to become an imperial pilot is forced to return to her rebel roots to save her world in this adrenaline-fueled sci-fi adventure, perfect for fans of Iron Widow and Skyward. I love this cover. Really interested. I've read middle grade from Yoon Ha Lee and adult sci-fi from Yoon Ha Lee, but now we're getting a YA book. And I just think Yoon Ha Lee is a really fantastic writer. I like everything I've read from him. And he's a queer trans writer, so you usually get a lot of interesting gender representation in his books as well. Yes, new book coming out in June. Then on the 4th, yet another heavy hitter for finishing up amazing series. We have Mirrored Heavens by Rebecca Roanhorse. Like, look at that cover. It is so striking. Really interested to see how we're finishing up the series. I feel like there's a lot of loose threads. This is one where I feel like it might behoove me to reread the other books if I have time before I read it, because there's like so many moving pieces. But I love this series, and we're finally getting the end of that. And then on the 18th, we have Of Jade and Dragons by Amber Chen. 18-year-old Ai Hui Ying dreams of becoming a brilliant engineer just like her beloved father, but her life is torn apart when she arrives a moment too late to stop his murder, and worse, lets the killer slip out of reach. Left with only a journal containing his greatest engineering secrets and a jade pendant snatched from the assassin, Ying vows to take revenge into her own hands. So this, I think, is like a sci-fantasy kind of book. Sounds really interesting. Still have to read Fevered Star. You have time. You have time. This isn't coming until June. So, it's coming. Oh, this is cool. Rebecca Roanhorse is from New Mexico, where you are. That's great. All right. More in June. Okay, 2 more. We are supposed to be getting the 3rd Amari and the Night Brothers book by BB Alston. We don't have a title yet and we don't have a cover, but I love this series, Supernatural Investigations. So that I'll be picking that up for sure. And then we have Sleep Like Death by Kaylin Barron. This is a YA queer Snow White retelling, which sounds really interesting. This is like such a great cover for a Snow White retelling, and I'm really interested to see what she does with this because I feel like her writing has just continued to improve. I had like like liked but didn't love her debut, but I feel like her writing has just continued to get better and better the more she's been going. So I'm interested in this. All right, July. We have 3 books. The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. This cover, y'all, I am dying. This cover is like all of my cottagecore fantasy dreams. I was like, please, Tor, send me this book. It's beautiful. Also, it looks like the books are gonna have purple sprayed edges, which is amazing. And I know I like Sarah Beth Durst. So this is coming out through the Bramble imprint, which has been like fantasy romance imprint that Tor has launched, which like mixed like mixed feelings about some of the stuff they're coming out with, but this one I'm very, very excited about. And it says it's a cottagecore cozy fantasy following a woman's unexpected journey through the low stakes market of illegal spell selling and the high risk business of starting over. I feel like I'm going to love this. Like this just is calling my name. And also, I know that I like her writing, and she does good cozy fantasy. So I feel like it's going to be great. Excited for the spell shop. Yes. Yeah, she is a great author. I am a fan. Okay, then we have the last one by Rachel Housel Hall. This is being pitched as The Witcher meets N.K. Jemisin, which I was like, uh, N.K. Jemisin, like that's a little, she's written a lot of things, but okay. I think they're saying this because it's like a sci fantasy by a black author. That is my assumption. And maybe it's got social stuff in it. I don't know. But you had me at NK. You had me at NK Jemisin. A new series from an author where a young woman learns the world is about to be destroyed by an evil, destructive force, herself. So we don't know a lot about it. I'm intrigued. We'll see. And then we don't have a cover for this yet, but on July 30th, we are getting The Crimson Crown by Heather Walter. She wrote the Malice duology, and now she's taking on a queer reimagining of Snow White. Snow White's Dark Queen tells her side of the story in this queer, witchy reimagining of the classic fairy tale. Also on my radar. I'm interested. Okay. August, I think every other month that I'm gonna go over from now on, I just have 1 book per month, so there's a lot less that we know of what's coming out later in the year. Like, there are gonna be I'm sure there will be more things. This is just based on, like, what I know about and things that have been officially announced. So, in August, we have A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher. This is a dark retelling of the Brothers Grimm's Goose Girl, rife with secrets, murder, and forbidden magic. Sounds good. I like that she's doing these kind of dark fairy tale retellings. I think that's fun. In September, we are finally getting Celestial Monsters by Aidan Thomas. This is the sequel to the Sunbearer Trials, which I loved. One of my favorite books the year it came out. Really fun, fast paced YA fantasy that is inspired by Latina mythology. It's got queer characters. The main character is trans, and I just thought it was really good. So I'm excited to read Celestial Monsters. Okay, Wisteria by Adeline Grace is also coming out in August. Good to know. Cool. I have not actually read from her, I don't think, but I know people have really enjoyed her. Um, okay, so yeah, this is September. We have one in November. The Lotus Empire by Tasha Suri. I'm like so excited for this. We don't have a cover yet. Absolutely love this. So this is a fantasy, like sapphic fantasy series inspired by the history and mythology of India, and it's great. It's like you know morally gray sapphics and lots of political stuff. burning down the world and the taking down the patriarchy. It's great. It's fun. So I don't know if she's going to break our hearts in this or not. We'll see. But I will definitely be pre-ordering it. And then finally, this was just announced yesterday, but December 18th, we are getting Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson. This is book 5 in the Stormlight Archive, which apparently is the conclusion to the current what do you call it? Like the current story arc for the Stormlight Archive. So people are excited about that, and you can now pre-order it. So Tor put that up yesterday, and I copied their Instagram post for it. Of a handful of other August, Medici Heist, Lady Macbeth, and This Ravenous Fate. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I think I did see Lady Macbeth. Again, it's an author I haven't really read from, but that sounds interesting, like a fantasy retelling of that. What is This Ravenous Fate? Let me look that up. It's a great. Oh, okay, by Haley Dennings. First book in a decadent fantasy duology set in the jazz age of Harlem, where at night the dance halls come to life and death waits in the dark. Okay, I'm putting that on my want to read list on Goodreads. Thank you for that. That sounds excellent. Cool. In April, yes. Okay, these will be on my romance list. So you're right. In April, there's A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sango Mandana and A Letter to the Luminous Deep by Sylvia Cathrall. I'm also excited for those, but I put them on my romance list because I had too much on the sci-fi fantasy. So my romance list is going to also have fantasy romance stuff on it. That will be coming. And of course, it's also sapphic. I love that. You know what's really funny? I was compiling all of my romance books and I haven't actually counted, but I would say a very, very high percentage of them are queer books. like like can tell what catches my my interest. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like looking at these lists, I'm like, I have very specific things that I'm interested in, and I'm like, ooh, that sounds good. Let me put that on my list. So anyway, those are the 42 sci-fi fantasy books that I have on my radar for next year. And I'm sure there will be more, but these are the ones I'm interested in. You got an Arc of City of Stardust. Oh, cool. Okay, yeah. So I also have one. I haven't gotten far into it yet, but the first few chapters are also fantastic. So very excited about that. Yeah. So thank you, everybody. Hopefully this helps get stuff on your list. Everything is also linked down below. If you were anything that has links down below. And I will be back again. We're going to be getting a list. How many do I have on this? I've got like 37 books on the romance list, 32 books on the horror mystery thriller list, and then like a tiny little 8-book miscellaneous category. So those will all be coming, and some of them will be live. Oh, sad that Unending, the sequel to Unseelie by Ivelisse Houseman, is pushed back till 2025. Yeah, bummer. Yeah, sometimes things do get pushed back. It does happen, and as I said, all these dates are tentative as of the filming of this. So, thanks everybody for joining me, and happy holidays. I hope you are taking some time to chill. I'm trying I'm trying to. There's always a lot going on this time of year, but have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you next time. Bye.